Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, everyone. This is the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eitai, and I'm excited to be here live and direct. And it's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be a great time today. And it's a short edition we're going to have today. Yesterday was very short. We are on the field. I won't say we were on the field, even though what you might be seeing in the background might not look like the field. But trust me, I'm on the field as well. And it's been a great experience. But here we are. We have to do this every day, Monday to Friday, just to be with you guys and to have a great time together. So without wasting much time, I'm going to introduce others. But while we do that, please do send in a comment, type in something, say your name, your location, where you're streaming from. We are streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa to the entire world. Once again, we always tell people and we always re-emphasize the word that it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. And shout out to those who are always online with us, our faithful tribe. And for those who watch the replay, thank you for joining all the same. So let's just have a welcome. I'm introducing this time around for the first time, the first person, Safety Check. Good morning. How are you, Safety Check?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine, thank you. I hope you can hear
We can hear you. You look like you're in a space station or something like that.
me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, let's say hello to another fantastic person who is always behind the scenes. Good morning, Mr. Jude. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good morning, Safety Chick. Good morning, Internet. And good
Yes, you
morning,
got it. Yes,
colleagues.
a fellow president for the internet. Yeah, and of course,
You're welcome.
our Republican on the island, ladies and gentlemen, welcome KK in the
Hi.
building.
Good
Good
Welcome,
morning,
morning.
KK.
everyone.
Welcome.
I suspect that KK has actually recruited some followership. I'm hearing some hello, good morning voices behind the scene. I think I'm hearing voices like Queenette. I'm
What you
hearing
for
voices
once,
like
can you not be observant? Can you
I'm
try
not
not to be
observant. I
observant?
am present. We know what we are talking about. Then some Edo connections come together. We always sense it. Somehow, the
That
republic is
is
becoming a
connection.
confederal republic. And
Yes.
by the power vested in me and Jude, we will ensure that we will monitor the growth of that republic before it becomes a continent. Or else, I will have to keep saying every day, he who fights and run will live to fight
Live
another
to
day
fight
and win.
another day.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and of course, the executive TT
And win. Okay.
riding on the way to the field trip. You know, TT, good morning.
Hi, Titi.
Good
Hello,
morning,
TT.
everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Titi.
TT, it seems like you are in a
Good
Bentley or
morning.
something. The
Yeah,
interior
yeah.
that I'm seeing looks like a
It's,
Bentley
it's
interior.
possible.
Your light is working. Oh my
uh,
God.
uh, I
Good
Rolls
morning,
Royce. I
everyone. Good
Rolls.
morning.
It's Rolls
And
Royce.
the voice is not complete until you hear this soft voice I'm about to introduce to you. When you just hear it, all the aches and pains and the stress will roll away. When you just hear a voice, in fact, it looks like you are already set in a curricular way. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Rhoda in the building.
Rhoda, go Rhoda, go Rhoda.
Oh my God.
Welcome.
Good
Awesome.
morning to
Awesome.
the Good Morning Education Show. Rotimi, Safety Chick, Jude, Titi,
Yeah,
Morning,
and
morning.
KK. Good morning.
yeah.
Hi,
No, KK is
KK.
not the only one on
Rhoda.
the show on our end. Though. KK is with some
Good
KKs.
morning.
There are
Yes,
some
so
KKs behind the KK.
you may,
And of
are you?
course, we have Oluwa Shanu Adebayo.
Okay, let me
Uh,
go have the cake and speak now so that all of us can be on the
Oluwa
show.
Shanu Adebayo is here from Nigeria. Lola Neke is here from Abuja. Favor is also here. Okay, so KK, do you want to show your Republicans
Oh,
with us?
fabulous.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see your Republicans. And while we're waiting for our Republicans, I'd like to say this that today is Dari
Yes,
Akinlaja's
brother.
birthday. Daria Akilaja is a friend of the house. He's an educator. He's a speaker. He's someone who does great stuff. So we're saying good morning to Daria Akilaja. Okay, so who's the first Republican I'm seeing here? I'm seeing, it's a beauty pageant. KK, what's happening? KK, are you the most beautiful lady in education? Is that what you are doing? I'm seeing some fine faces there. All right, we'll talk about that later.
Good morning.
Oh, Glory, how are you? Good morning. And this one is sunshine. There's Glory, there's sunshine. KK, is Glory sunshine there? Which one is healing? Oh, Tom, you're looking different. Tom, how are you? Oh my gosh. It's good to be in the Republic.
Good morning, no.
Thank you. Don't mind us. We are like that on the show. There's a special anointing for that. After the show, we become normal. That's the Mandingo warrior, Black Lady Caesar.
That's right.
All right, so let's head over to the news and then we will be back for the conversation of the day. Welcome back. This is the Good Morning Education Show, and we are live. And today is Wednesday, the 2nd of September, second day in September, and it's going to be a great time together. We are speaking today on student relationship. Just before we get there, let's have a review on the news. So I'm expecting Safety Chick, Jude, TT, Rhoda, and KK to review the news with us as we go along. So over to you guys.
So, I mean, it was interesting that we talked about Osun State that has brought out their own reopening date. So that was exciting. And of course, LASU says that the students are going to be resuming in batches, which is something that I believe primary and secondary schools can also, we can use that same type of model as well.
Awesome,
so yeah, those
awesome.
two were exciting for me.
Okay.
And then the suburb training that is currently going on, I think it's a really good one because we need the teachers, the principals to be ready. And I found out something yesterday that some of them have actually not even heard or seen the federal government guidelines. And that guideline has been available for over a month now. So that means there's really a whole lot of work to be done. We need to ensure that this information really gets down because they are willing to learn, right? But if they are not even aware that it exists, how do they know and how are they going to implement it in their various schools? So I'm happy this training is going on currently.
Safety chick, you sound like Rhoda with the mask on. So you might be an impersonator. Rhoda, watch out.
So safety chick, don't worry, I love safety chick anyways. It's like I think that both of us look alike. So
Thank you.
okay,
Jude.
so for me, I thought you were one of okay, go ahead, Jude.
No. I was just telling Jude to take notes. That the ladies are looking alike.
Taking notes.
Rotimi, what did you just do? Anyway, so actually the one that caught my head is the same thing that KK mentioned, but because I know a bit about the details, so I was I think it's very directional for a lot of schools, which is they got the Osun State announcement. If you look at that academic calendar that they released, it was really very clear about what they wanted to do, and I thought that was good because they have a 2019, they have an abridged first term in the academic calendar for 2020-21 academic session, and inside it they have a 2019 abridged third term, which is lasting for 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I understand.
That's good.
Yeah, if you look at the academic calendar, it's going to be 4 weeks, and of course it's critical. Because one thing is you want to ensure children get some closing of gaps as much as possible. You want to also ensure that you benchmark them with their exams, assessments, pretty much know where they are. And then you want to conduct your promotion. So people are going to move into new classes. And I thought that was brilliant. I think it's a very good example for a lot of people. And so, of course, they do have a shorter term in term for the first term of 2021, 2020-21. But there must be a master plan for that because again, learning is learning, it continues. So we will figure it out as we go along the way of where we are, where we need to be, and map back from there. So I thought that was brilliant and very directional for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of states.
Fantastic.
Okay. Jude, do you want to say something about the news and then we'll head over to Titi?
Not really.
Okay, so
Not
Titi,
really.
over to Titi. Titi, are you there? Hello, Titi, are you there? Okay, so let's just head over to the conversation of the day. Last week we had a conversation that brought about, I recall Rhoda say that, this is not a topic for today. Let's take it to the other day. We're asking and touching about student relationships, and we have different shades of it. What kind of relationships should students have? To what degree? At what level of extent of commitment? Let's talk about dating relationship. When should students date? Should they be allowed to date? The concept of prom and all those things.
Date what now? You don't date their notebooks. You don't write the date on their notebook.
Who is that?
Rhoda, are you here?
Yeah. Decimated. The topic is decimated.
Jude, this question is for you. Is there an app that you can use to rewind online events? So that when KK and Titi start, you just do rewind. And then you now replace it with oh shit.
You.
Shit.
We get you.
So anytime KK just say something, just change it. Oh shit.
Man.
Okay, so ladies, over to you. Since it's about ladies first. Over to you.
let me hear their perspective. Let me hear their
Right.
perspective.
I can't even just wait for what Ugochi is going to say. So me, I would just calm down and wait for Ugochi to speak because he's the safety expert here and there's a lot of safety things involved in this discussion. You know, so I'll be quiet and wait for you to hear Ugochi. I'm going to wait. Ugochi, over to you.
Okay, so the thing is that is not actually the focus for them being in school at that time. So yes, it's okay to like people, and I know that they would want to crush on people, but having a relationship, like really, where is it going to? Are they planning to get married at SS3? Like they don't. It's not just necessary, really. It's a lot of distraction, and it's okay to have friends. It's okay to really like a guy or like a girl, as the case may be. But having a relationship at that time, I think it's early. I also think that it's going to also lead to other deviant behavior, because we've actually found that many times when children, let me call them young people now, so that I know that a teenager might say I'm not a child, but you see, many times when young people have when they are together as a group, there is a higher chance of an accident happening. And that's why we hear cases of children driving in a car, teenagers driving for some reason. And because they are with their peers, they take more risky decisions and they're more liable to have accidents. It's the same thing that happens when they start dating, they start experimenting, they first start trying out with sex, trying out with drugs, trying out with drinks and all those sort of stuff. So it begins to spiral out of control, really. So the focus, we should be encouraging them that it's okay to have friends, but you need to have boundaries. At this time, you really do not need a relationship. There's a lot of time for that in front, but for now, just maintain good friendships, because again, you do not want to start something that you cannot finish, or that's going to put you in the bad record of someone down the line. I'm sure many people now, when they look back to the things they did in secondary school, they wish they didn't, but time is gone. And that is why we should just help these current ones to rearrange, because I mean, that is why people are getting unwanted pregnancies. That's why people are getting STIs at really young ages, because from experiments. And again, most of the guys, in fact, one of my male friends actually said this to me, that many times many boys get their sexual education from their classmates, and those ones don't even know better. So it leads to a lot of complications down the line. So I know that it's all girls like to dream, and guys also want to show their macho, but we should be converting their energy to, okay, yes, we know this is the stage, but just wait a little bit more. For now, just be very nice, have lots of friends, be open and stuff like that. So from the rest of the conversation that flows from everyone, I would say more. Let me just stop.
Political answer. I remember
yeah, so as Secretary was talking.
You said? Okay, let me just say this before you have a conversation also on that. So I recall that I was at a particular location, Cross River. I was having a session with some teachers there, a support program for teachers, and I saw some students beating each other. They were acting as prefects because the others came in late. And I told them, I said, why would you be beating your colleagues like that? It was as if it was a vendetta or something. And they said, well, that's how they were beating when they were in younger classes. When they were the older, before they got into business. And I said, but must you do that? They said, well, sir, this is our regime, regime. So, if I want to bring anything, it will be after their time exactly. Now, Safety Chick, I know you used to be in secondary school before now. So, think about it. Sometimes when we say some things, the student might come and say, well, you guys, you had your time. Why are you now coming all of a sudden to talk about change during our time? Right? When you said there's a lot of it in front. Another thing I'd like to ask, maybe I should throw it to KK and Titi, is that a lot of people have an argument that the reason we have late marriages or failed marriages can be attributed to the fact that we do not encourage relationships early enough, even at the teenage level. What's your take on that?
Okay, so as Safety Chick was speaking, one of the things that came to my head is when we're talking about sexuality education, right? And I think that was something we've all strongly mentioned, the fact that it's not just about sex, it's about the sexuality of it, right? So there are different types of relationships, and we need to begin to help the children see these distinctions. And yeah, so I mean, growing up, I had things like they would say, oh, my girlfriend, and then we'll giggle, and I'll say my boyfriend, and then we'll giggle, you know. But again, it helped us understand the fact that there are those distinctions that happen between the different types of relationships which we find ourselves engaging with. So back to your question, Rotimi, about the fact that late marriages and failed marriages. So yes, there's a place of friendship, right? So every time I'm talking to young ladies around me or even young men, I always say to them, look, marriage is only one part of sex, is only one part of the marriage. There's the friendliness, there's the being able to share, the openness, the vulnerability that comes from that sort of relationship. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, so there's the vulnerability, there's there's all those other things that come into that relationship, which some people seem to lose sight of. So yes, in our schools, it's important that we begin to open up the children to the understanding of them as people within a community and having their own roles to play, even in terms of their roles within relationships and when they're looking into relationships. So yeah, I mean, I think things have just changed over the years. When I was getting married, something my mother said to me was, it's not going to be fantastic every single day, but there's so much more than the times when it's not fantastic. So in a sense, I think value systems also shape and drive our attitudes towards relationship, which is why in schools we should always think about value-based education and how we can bring all of those things into every day of the children's existence in our schools. And sorry, I'm driving, so I'm a little distracted, but I hope I'm making some sense.
You're making so much sense. It's mobile sense, in fact.
Yes, you are.
I need to say this to Titi so that Titi will help us. You mentioned there are different types of relationship, and I love that. So maybe Titi can help us being the one who is able to craft, those things like career path. So is there a relational path, where you say, okay, teenager, student, this is the first relationship. Then when you scale after 2 years, you get promoted to the next relationship, maybe mere relationship, real relationship, best friend relationship, and sure relationship, solid relationship, secret relationship.
Friend zone.
What are the career levels of the
of relationships?
I don't understand this your question, but what I would say is that we need that kind of education one way or the other. I think one of the reasons for a lot of failed marriages or delayed marriages is unrealistic expectations. A lot of people feel that I need to have this and that before I get into it. I don't need to start out small. But most people do not realize that a lot of their parents started out small. They didn't start out and immediately moved into their own houses. It didn't work out like that. They started out small and things grew over the years. So when you're in your 20s, how many people will be owning houses? So I think that's really the thing, is setting realistic expectations. It's the same thing with failed marriage. Some people go in and expect, very unrealistic expectations of two imperfect people. And that's what it is. Or it is you dated and you presented a persona that's not real. You've shown only your good side because that's what it is. You shown only your good, your good and perfect side. So you're a woman, you don't really like to cook, but when you're dating someone, you're all cookie, and then when it comes up, because everyday life happens. And we are not all smiley, all nice, all patient in our day-to-day lives. So I think a lot of it is really, you understand, certain there's a tweet I saw recently that says that you have to show someone all the seasons before you finally make the decision to marry the person. You have to show the person when how you behave when you're hurt, when you have disappointment, when you're happy. You have to show the person all the seasons, and then let the person agree that this is it. So I think it's that helping them with realistic expectations. Unfortunately, the internet has made it worse. What happens is that none of us I rarely show you a picture of me all looking haggard and all that, how I look when I wake up in the morning, but that's not, I mean, this is not how I am every day, all nice and made of it. That's not me. It is not. So when we present ourselves to people, we tend to put a persona that is not completely 100% our real self. When we go out, we make an effort. It's the same thing what people put on Instagram, in terms of what they have. So everybody comes in with their unrealistic expectations. I think the other thing, we also come with our baggages from our upbringing. That's just the thing. If this is how they do things in your house, that's how you go in. So I think a lot more of educating people on relationships. People have to bring, when you go into a relationship and it's all take. In the beginning it can seem fine, but one day the person is going to wake up and revolt. That why am I the one always making the effort? Why am I the one always making the sacrifices? Or how you go into a relationship, you already see signs of a someone that is violent. Any small thing, he just is throwing things and those are signs. So I think we need to educate people earlier on about relationship, about self-worth, because it starts with that. If you go with poor self-esteem in your relationship, you're going to come out beaten. You're going to come out. So it's a lot of things, and I think this education needs to start. You are more than enough. If you don't feel more than enough when you go in, throughout that period, you will never be more than enough. So I think those are the educations that we need to talk about. So even when people go into relationships early, what are you looking for in those things? Those kind of educations that our parents shied away from telling us. But I think the only thing that they had a bit more healthy expectations than we have, with all this. So they have a bit more healthy expectations. They went into marriage, was married for life because they knew that. So when you go into a relationship where it's for life, you tend to want to make it work. You're not moved by all the paparazzi and paparazzi. So I think that's really what it is. It takes two intentional people, because there's sometimes it's like your family. Sometimes they annoy you, but you know what? They're your family. You can't pack up and go and say, you can't throw them away. You can't to wake up one day and say, I'm not doing it again. So because when you're intentional, it allows you to make things work better, as against all the. So let me give an example. I know a couple that they had a very lavish wedding, and it was on their way to their honeymoon that they parted ways. Why? Because when it was now time, I have my own house, you have your own house. No, whose house are we going to live in? And then they had a big fight, and then they went their ways. I'm like, is that really a big thing? So it's a lot of things. What you want out of relationship? People just want people that they look very nice and taking pictures with, and all the glam and pre-wedding shoot. That's all it's all about.
They should have actually done weekday in the husband's house, weekend in the wife's house, or wife. You didn't even say which. No problem.
It's so when they're young, setting realistic expectations. What is relationship all about? How do we set these realistic expectations of what we? But mainly teaching about self-worth. I think it's very important that you think about self-worth. It allows you to go in, in the marriage, realizing that it's a partnership of two equal people. No matter what it is that you're bringing, whether someone is bringing more money or whatever, it's still a marriage of two equal people. We are both contributing something to it, and it's really, so that's
See the way you are talking. I think we're referring to children who are about to get married. Guys,
this is primary and secondary school students.
Let us just circle back. Right? We're talking here about
rewind.
We're talking about student relationships. So let's zone in there, right? Yeah. And so for me, I'm going to share a quick personal story of my own story, and then I'll start with this. There is a difference, with student relationship between in your high school, which predominantly is when these things happen, in high school, and university, because the age groups, everything is different. Now, there are so many aspects of a child's life or a person's life that changes when they transition from that secondary school or high school to university. And so that's why it makes it two different experiences. So, for example, when you go to university, it's newfound freedom, isn't it? Completely. You're on your own. You have more opportunities to expand yourself. You want to try new things, especially when it comes to relationships and sex. So you then, at that time at university, you're gaining practical knowledge about everything around you. So, but and then as you grow up, what happens to you? Your dating or relationship becomes less about all this. I want to flirt at the football game. I want to. Do you understand? It becomes less about that. But when you're in high school, you are at this moment when you literally are not very clear about many things. And so when I think that schools lose a great opportunity to discuss relationships as an extracurricular or something activity. Because when children are together, their hormones rage. Don't forget that this is the time when puberty happens. This is the time when boys start to have wet dreams. This is a time when girls can lose their direction completely just because they are infatuated about a boy, right? And so it does have significant effects to a large extent, if it's not very well managed, on student performances and their career path. Because a boy can confuse a girl and a girl can confuse a boy. Believe me, it's the same thing both ways. Okay, so it always feels like boys have a better handle of these things than girls. Not exactly. It's only that they just don't get pregnant, and so nothing comes. No,
True.
That's it. They don't get pregnant. So for me, I would just say that that we really need to hone into this relationship thing within the school system, and try to figure out a way to educate our girls and boys about their goals in life. Look, myself, I met my husband when I was 19. Believe me that at 19, I exactly knew what I wanted. I wanted a genuine friendship. I wanted a genuine relationship. I was in the part of at that time of my life, I was beginning to think, who am I going to partner with in this journey going forward? Who is going to support me as I choose my choice, my profession, as I choose the way I love, as I choose the way I want to build my family? I have a friend who once told me when we were in university, and you can see this kind of thing is not what you say when you're in university, when you're in secondary school. She said, I want two things out of a man. I want him to be brilliant, I want his brains, and I want a good skin. And guess what she said? The reason why she gives those two, she said, regardless, if my child is smart, if she's got a good skin, even if she's ugly, she'll do well. So some of these kinds of mindsets are not the things that you don't learn them in secondary school. You don't know them because you're still growing. So for me, I feel like, that transition from high school to college, the changes in puberty and you just finally knowing yourself is where we need to ensure that children know, look, when it comes to school, secondary school, you have no business thinking about having relationships in a certain way. So you will have relationships because we want to have healthy relationships. What does it mean for a girl to be friends with a boy? What are the boundaries there? Because we don't want to stop them from having those relationships, right? We just don't want to do that because they need to have those relationships. It's important, right? But we need to educate them and say, look, healthy relationships are X, Y, Z. In X, this is how it's done. Your boundaries are no sex, abstinence, this, that. Will they always live up to it? No. Will they make mistakes? Yes. Can they correct, mitigate their mistakes? Most likely, yes, if well educated, right? So nobody's saying that they'll be holier than thou. Look, I have a lot of friends that actually had relationships in secondary school, and we know it still happens. But is there guidance in them when they eventually fall into those relationships? I think that's what I'd like to say that we hold on to and ask for the education professionals to deal with it. And that's where the counselors come in.
Yeah. I love what you said, Rhoda, because from all you said and Titi, I'm blending Titi's conversation with yours and KK's submission. I'm making this assumption. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I think that we should do a lot more on the teaching of relationships, right? Not necessarily them the practicing or experiencing the dimensions of those relationships. Because when you don't teach people, they go out for an adventure. That's what I've come to realize. Yeah. So, and Rhoda is saying that it's just that boys don't get pregnant. So invariably, boys do have periods. That's what you're saying. You know what? I was hearing you said something about wet dreams. I almost asked that do they still have wet dreams nowadays?
Excuse you, I have a 15-year-old, and believe me, yes,
You
a
don't
boy.
say
Rhoda, don't embarrass him here.
He's not here.
Don't embarrass us.
Okay, so let me say here, I have a fantastic relationship with my son. Thank God. I don't know how I did it, but thank God. And this young man tells me every single damn thing. I'm almost embarrassed for him. And I'm always saying, guy, can you go to your father, please? Can you just move? Like, this conversation is not for me. And he's like, Mom, no. You need to hear it. You need to hear it, Mom. So what does it mean? I wake up this morning and my bed is, I'm like, hey, Jesus Christ. Where did I start? You know, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let me say.
Let's hear Odetola in the building. Odetola Ebenezer.
Yeah, has a lot here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good morning.
Okay. Your experiences, please. Not necessarily your experience, just your thoughts on the topic, student relationships. We have a very short time. We need to wrap up now.
Yeah, student relationship is a very big subject matter. I think maybe for secondary school, I would advise for now, like I was telling some group of teachers yesterday, that they will surely have relationship. And if you are trying to tell them, don't, you are actually inviting them to even do it more. So what we can actually do is to orientate them about the do and don't do. That means that the area that you are not meant to explore and then the area you can explore. The person can be your friend, but not going to the longer mile by doing all sorts of immoralities and more. But there is no how they can be in relationship without those things coming in. We've seen a lot of videos online where they are kissing each other in a very hidden corner, and they have experienced such where we wait till school, wait after school till about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock to do a lot of exploration. And those things, I think for now, I will not encourage it. But those SS3, they are in the stage whereby everything is actually trickling out of them. And just little statement from Rhoda that if not, our boys are not doing, boys are not getting pregnant. I think most of the most of the disadvantage is from girls, and so sad. Yesterday, even there was a question yesterday during my session, and the teacher actually asked, as school is resuming tomorrow, what if a girl is pregnant? What do we do? This and that. I said it is left to the government to actually decide whether such people should be in the environment setting and such people should not be in the environment setting. A lot of problem. I think one of the major things is just orientation, getting closer to them, parent understanding the child, no hidden agenda. Let them understand that this is the consequence of doing this, and this is also the consequence of doing this. I've experienced it before. Use example of yourself, your father, your neighbor, this and that, and then the children will be encouraged. But lack of not telling them at all is what I am actually seeing in higher institution now. In some of those higher institution that I work in, I see a lot of 16-year-old girls that they don't tell some of these things at home, and by the time they get to school, they are the sex tools. I won't lie to you. I have seen a girl that have sex at least in a day 5 times, and I try to talk to her she said she did not actually understand. By the time they come, she don't have choice than to just open up to them. Why? She got this virgin at the age of 11. That means there's lack of no relationship with the mother and the child. So a lot of it is a very wide topic. Yeah, monitoring and more. I think it is a very wide topic.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, even you, I think that question was very important to you. That question that came to you.
I mean, what
very
just said.
That question.
Go ahead.
And sorry, quickly, I will be quick. That question about what if someone comes in pregnant was a very important question.
Sure.
And I would have used that opportunity to speak to those guys who were listening there, their stakeholders. Because I feel like girls are often put in a very bad position every time when they fall into these mistakes. And what government should do is to mitigate for this. Because you see, when the child is thrown away, then honestly, a lot changes for that particular girl. So I would have said to them, listen, if this girl's due date is not going to, especially depending on the class groups that they have, regardless, due date is so, and she's capable of doing an exam, there should be a plan for what was the category of, what was the naming I could give them? These groups of girls who actually do, I don't know what name I'll give them, but there should be a plan for them. Because again, if they don't have that, if they're not able to continue their education, if we condemn them, then we have also condemned them to a life of almost no purpose. Sometimes they miss their track for 7 years, 8 years. So I know Safety can speak to this, but it's an opportunity for stakeholders to understand exactly what to do with these troubled girls who have had to go through such a situation. So I would have told them, what is the plan? What's your plan? I would think that for children like this, yes, you don't want to bring them into the school community because it's a bad example, but it's also a good example to others to share what they should not do. But then there must be a plan for that child to continue her education.
Let me give you.
And I remember that this is actually why we had this conversation. I'm sure this was actually why this conversation had to happen, because I remember the first time it came up where I was sharing that a particular state kept having that issue, and we can't just throw them away. Yes, it has happened. But what is the plan to ensure that education continues? Because if we do not give them a chance, it just reduces their quality of life over time. You see many of them who are not able to further their education eventually and all that. And that was what the day Jude said, why do we now have them getting pregnant? And we mentioned that it takes 2 people to get pregnant. It's not a one-person matter. If it was a one-person matter, it could have been easily reduced. So it takes 2 people, and that's why that teaching of responsibility at the beginning is really important. It's okay to have friends. It's okay that the hormones are raging because you're in that phase, but it's not okay to go beyond certain boundaries. Because again, at this point, we must be teaching them future orientation. That future that you have in mind that you are planning to go to. These are certain actions that if you take, it will derail you or make your journey longer. However, if you go this other route, it would shorten your learning curve and you would get to where you're getting to faster. So it's really so important that we do not just throw them away. There must be a plan for them. Otherwise, we are going backwards. I shared with my own class yesterday that there was a country. I was part of one training with some foreigners some days ago, and there was a country that the reason they don't want to send their girls back to school after the lockdown, after the virus and all that, is because this period when the girls have been at home, they have seen how valuable it is to have a girl child in the house, how she coordinates, how she does everything, and they don't want her to go back to school. And that is so wrong. What is taking us backwards? So we must make sure that education continues for these girls, regardless of what they have done.
Education must continue. Education must continue. You are very right. There is even a light try.
We are questioning girl child education, Jude. You see it, Jude.
Well,
have that conversation.
I'm listening to you all, and it's. I'll give
Jude, you are in trouble today.
I'll give my own instance on that. The truth is that it's not a matter of teaching children boyfriend or girlfriend. We are confusing the difference between teaching socialization and teaching sexualization. The truth is that at any stage in life, whether you are 1 year old or you are 100 years old, you can learn socialization. That can be taught. That skills can be taught at any level, at any age. Then that will now transit when they are ready to marry to now start teaching them courtship and all that. But for secondary school age, the highest or the best you can teach them is socialization, teaching them self-confidence, teaching them presentation skills, teaching them how to negotiate. These are core skills that anywhere, even if you are not married, you need it at any point in time in your life to try.
Yeah.
So these are very powerful skills which can teach.
And that's why you say something.
When we are talking
Brother,
about
your friend
boyfriend and girlfriend,
I think Mr. Jude, do you know that
socialization, not really
socialization can penetrate? Mr. Jude, do you know that through socialization,
Mr. Iben, the level you teach
through socialization, they can graduate.
When you are talking about socialization, go and read it out.
They can graduate. They can graduate to socialization. No.
Socialization that doesn't even connect.
We are not having the right conversations. We need to have the right conversations in our schools. Look,
yes,
and a lot of these conversations should actually have their origins in the home. That's the truth. I mean, I talk with my children about certain things because it's important that they hear it from me. But in our schools, we need to have conversations, like Rhoda always says, in partnership with the parents. But you cannot say that we will teach only socialization and will not bring the other one. Look, they need to know what happened.
They will exploit.
Nobody's saying what.
They will exploit.
Nobody's saying it.
Socialization. We are not talking about not teaching sex education. That is socialization.
It's not even.
When
you teach everything. It's going to be systematic.
Mute everybody's mic.
Definition. Go and check it out. You are getting the wrong definition of socialization. Socialization is not just about.
So let's one at a time, so that our audience and viewers can experience.
You are teaching them how to interact. Self-confidence is not a life skill. Self-confidence, presentation skill, negotiation skills. Are those not life skills? So what are we saying to graduate to sexualization? When you teach somebody how to make presentation, that is graduation. What are we saying? Please, we should just be understanding in how we direct socialization discussion. We are not graduating from presentation skills to to teaching sex education. How does that connect?
Okay, so let's quickly have KK respond, and then we'll bring the show to an end because we have to close right now. So quickly.
Okay, so the topic is student relationships, right? And when we're looking at student relationships, there are so many different facets to student relationships. Socialization is one of those facets. But there are other facets which have to do with sexualization, which have to do with them discovering the fact that when I'm having a social relationship with somebody and I keep talking to this person, I start to feel jitters when I see this person on the
Those are just thought patterns.
And so those are things that we need to discuss. Now, it's not the ABC of it. It's the seed of it. So we need to go at this place. We need to go into the affective domain, right? So leave cognition alone. Let's go into affective and let's let them know these are the feelings that are associated with this thing that we have been telling you, and this is how you can handle it. Do you get what I mean? So we're looking at student relationships here, and we need to look at it in all of its ramifications, or we will miss something out. And that in itself becomes a problem because we have left something unsaid, which we should have said.
Can I say something, Mr. Rotimi? I think.
Are we here?
Say something.
I can't say something. Oh my God.
The time is fast spent for saying something. We have to go from
saying something
to doing something.
This is just 51 minutes. I can just say something for just 1 minute.
Mr. Eben, the time is up. Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
All right.
Oh my God.
So,
we can have part two. We can have part two since the conversation is not over. Yes, because really, it should be trashed.
I'm out of extinguishers, You guys are talking at the same time.
We will do better.
Excellent.
We'll do better in the second episode. We'll do better in the second episode.
We'll have prepared for each other. We'll have prepared for each other. Like I'm prepared for Mr. Jude. I'm prepared for Mr.
This is a topic I will always enjoy discussing, even if you catch me in the bathroom. This is the topic.
It is also a topic I enjoy because I have experienced it. I have seen a lot of guys that are actually doing it and students doing it. So I like to explore that topic.
They say doing it. Doing what?
The root cause of it has to
not
be
doing
it.
I don't know.
All this happening.
I don't understand what's happening.
I don't understand. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good time.
I don't understand.
We will be live tomorrow, and it will be a great time as well. Thank you for joining. Excellent teacher. Welcome back after a long time. Thank you, Caro Ballo, for joining all the way from Abuja. Lola Neke, always rooting for us. Bella, blessing to you all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those who joined for the first time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Thank you, dude. Say bye-bye. We can't see your wave anyway.
Oh my God.
Bye.
See ya.
See you tomorrow, and ensure you subscribe to our channel, follow everyone, and like and share. Thank you very much.
Bye.